It's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 177, Work and the Senses. Today is day 3 of Work and the Senses, and we are talking about the vestibular system. And if you haven't been watching these videos, you have no clue what I'm sitting on through vestibular, but if you have, you should automatically know. It's vestibular system. Of course I'm sitting on a rotating stool. I always am. All right. So let's start with the basics. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Your next deep breath out, you're going to expand in the belly, expand in the chest, expand in the head, and tuck that tail, tuck that sacrum under. Deep breath in. And release. And now think about any garbage that you had going on today, anything that got a little bit emotional charge that you were just like, no, I don't want that emotional charge there. Imagine that event in your head, or if you've got a sore body part, imagine that sore body part in your mind. And when you take a deep breath in, breathe into that spot or breathe into that memory. Here we go. Deep breath in. And release. All right, so today is the vestibular system, and if you remember, the vestibular system is all about where you are in space. And we are talking about work. We're talking about working in drab little cubicles, places without curves because we've gotten rid of curves in our architecture because they're hard to work around and they're more expensive. So we do everything in squares and blocks, and we use beige color because if we drop something on the carpet, the beige color, we can kind of clean it off and nobody ever knows. We don't use a lot of bright coloring. And so if you go into your workspace and you're there and you're doing stuff and you find that you want to get snacky, what else can you do? Well, in the first episode, we talked about hearing. We talked about adding music or tones or different types of music for different types of activities so that you've just got a little bit of sensory energy coming in that fits the situation that you're working with. Yesterday, we talked about taste, and we talked about, yes, you feel snacky, but it doesn't mean you have to take the whole, you don't have to eat the whole thing in essence. You just need you need the flavors. You need the spice of life rather than the whole meal. So you can do that. We talked about red hots, we've talked about Altoids, we talked about just maybe having some spiced teas, or even if you're really adventuresome, slices of raw ginger. Those will put a spring in your step instantaneously. They'll clean out your sinuses and your gut all at once. They're great. So little packs of potent flavor and intenseness, that is good. Today we're going to talk about the vestibular system. So again, what do you do when you are bored? And I noticed this today. My kids are at home doing online schooling, and the youngest was sitting on this stool, and man, he was spinning and rocking, and this stool also is a little bit of a wobble, so he was wobbling, and that's okay. It's okay to do that. We don't have to sit still and control ourselves. We should be little bits of energy and little bits of wobbliness and wiggliness. That should be allowed, especially for 7-year-olds. But even more so for adults. There's no reason why you have to sit prim and proper with your hands at your desk and type away like this. You can wiggle, you can turn, you can spin. I mean, heck, if you've got an idea that you can't figure out, then you spin around and come back. Now, I would normally show you my exercise ball, but my oldest decided that there was a pin and there was the ball, and he was very tempted by the combination, couldn't keep himself from that. So we have a deflated exercise ball. So I would show you my exercise ball, but I can't. But instead, so let's say you're not allowed an exercise ball at work. Again, come on. But let's say you're not. All right, this is, it comes in many different forms. It really is a mini exercise ball. Now this one I bought in for balance because it has texture on it. So there's a texture here, and there's definitely a texture there. You not necessarily want to stick your butt on that, but you could. But the idea is once you sit down, you do have a mini wobble. You have a mini bounce. So I can put this on my chair, and it is like sitting on an exercise ball. So I do rock. I have to find the right place to balance myself. It's a little bit more vestibularly challenging. Okay, now I've got this little bit of balance component. I can work on stabilizing my system a little bit, and my brain is always then ticking off little energy spikes are going on in my sensory system. Where am I in space? Can I wiggle? Can I wobble? Now, you can put this on a regular chair, and for those of you who might have some lower sacrum, possibly lower like hip pain, this seat is great because you really are floating on air, but you still have this ability to kind of wobble. So this is a great thing for people that need a little bit more vestibular activity so that they have a little bit more energy to get through their day. If you really, really want to, you could flip it to the spiky side, but don't do it if you're wearing leggings, maybe if you're wearing trousers, if you're wearing jeans, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. You get stimulation, just I wasn't expecting to go to touch until later on in the week. And all right, so adding this just a little bit of vestibular, again, a way to energize your body through the sensory system without going to the break room and having snacks, without having to have that energy drink, without having to have that next cup of coffee. This is a great way to keep you going. This is what kids do. Kids wobble, they wiggle, they shimmy, they move, you know. We weren't meant to just sit at a desk and type forever, so why not activate the vestibular system? Tell the vestibular system you're doing something. And in changing your posture and changing your view, you're getting new information in, which makes you more creative, makes you happier, and may just give you like 5-minute spin break. I mean, heck, who would, if you have a spinny chair and somebody comes in to talk to you, let them sit in your chair and let them spin for 5 minutes, and then they can go back to their seat. They probably would have more energy that way. All right, so that is my suggestion for the vestibular system and work. Find a different type of seating arrangement. Spinny chair, ball, or if that's not professional enough, one of these little pads, one of these little discs. And actually my mother has one of these, and it's called a quilter's, they actually sell it for quilters. I don't know if it's called a quilter's, and it's not called a quilter butt saver, but it's something like that. My mother will type in here the answer at some point in time. But it is meant to give you a little bit extra lift off your chair, but it can also be used to wobble on. All right, let's finish it off. Take a deep breath in and release. Have a great day. Meet me back here tomorrow. Take care.